I can attest this property has sat fallow all that time. It's been just an ignored piece of property, as stated. I have gone through, being a member of MSWA, the numerous discussions, the numerous contacts having taken place, the doggedly pursuit of the property owner to try and work this out shy of eminent domain. This discussion is, as previously questioned or stated, the last resort. The question is, does the board want to grant eminent domain proceedings to MSWA? That's the question. I can attest that we are at that last straw, so the discussion should be whether or not we're willing to grant that to those to that board, and I believe it's appropriate. Doesn't mean it's going to be needed. Doesn't mean that something shy of that with this being brought forward can still not be worked out. So looking and having used the hazardous waste drop-off point, I can also attest to the complexity and the difficulty of accessing that site. On the other hand, the city of Ukiah has just acquired the piece of property just north of that. So if it wasn't for the difficulty of access, I believe there's room to expand right where it's at. But the access continues to be the main problem, not the total size of the property. I think it's very inappropriate to be using a railroad right-of-way for access. That's been a point of contention in the last several years anyway, with the city of Ukiah even building a hiking trail alongside the railroad access to the point where some people have been ordered off of the right-of-way by the railroad. So we need to discuss the item of eminent domain and keep it to that, and allow MSWA to move forward with our representation in whichever way they feel appropriate. The item before us today is just to decide to grant them eminent domain status and let them move forward. Any additional questions or concerns from the board? I'd like to go to the public, see if there's any public comment out there. If there is, please step forward. If there is not, which I don't see anyone, let's bring it back to the board and bring it back to the discussion item or action.
To move this forward,
Please.
Mr. Chairman, you were on the MSWA board last year. You appointed me as chair. You appointed to me this year. I'm not going to intervene and try to stop this process. There's been a lot of work. I think, you know, I think the public need is probably clearly demonstrated here. I don't really believe that we can privatize the hazardous materials pickup in this county completely. So I think it probably makes best sense to have the MSWA board keep control of that, and then they have to have a location. And as you stated, it's not the size of the property where they are right now, but the main issue seems to be the access. So I'm going to support your position on this and move forward with it, because I think it's out of respect of my chairman. I don't think you appointed me to MSWA to totally tip upside down your views on it, so at least I'm not going to start off by doing that.
Appreciate that.
Anyway, so I would support this.
Okay. Supervisor Colfax?
I think the attention that's been given to this over the years on by MSWA and those who've served on the board has been pretty thorough. I think it's been thoughtful and as creative as it could possibly be. So I feel very comfortable in granting advancing the recommended motion to grant consent to Mendocino Solid Waste Management Authority to proceed with eminent domain for the acquisition of real property known as AP number 184, 140, 11 provisions of Section 9A. of the Mendocino Solid Waste Management Authority Joint Powers Authority.
The recommended motion has been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? Supervisor Delbert?
Well, of course, Mr. Chairman. You know, there's some discussion about the MTA's attempt at eminent domain condemnation, and that was at Donnybrook. It was an absolute mess. And it was, as Supervisor Colfax stated, it was high-handed, inappropriate, and ultimately illegal. And I'd apply the first two of those to this, quite frankly. It was a split vote on MSWA, and as the discussions occurred, the statements have been made up here, this is going on over the years and a lot of analysis. Well, this is the first discussion we've had on this board of condemnation of a piece of property. So if it's been if those conversations have been going on, then it's unfortunate that just now they're coming to us. The City of Ukiah is a partner in MSWA, and it has property, as the chairman stated, that they just recently acquired right adjacent to our property on which MSWA sits. And I don't know if there's been a discussion with the City of Ukiah about the use of some of that property if the current site needs to be changed. Has there been discussions with the county on access? Not that I'm aware of. Mr. DeShio, Director of Transportation, who would probably know if there had been, has shaken his head no. So there's some analyses that haven't been done here on what exists currently. Yet we're going to give authorization to use a tool, as was stated, for this acquisition. Well, that tool is in the form of a threat, and I know that that gets the hackles up on some people's backs, but that's exactly what it is. Deal with us, or we can condemn the property. So get your family together, or we can take it from you. We'll pay you, but we can take it from you. You know, it may be an orphan, and it may be unused, and the owners may be making tax payments for 40 years, but it's their property. And they're not in here saying, please do this to us. To me, this is a private property rights issue first and foremost. But second, it's a good governance issue since we haven't even done our due diligence on what else we can do with the site, what we have, with our new neighbor, the City of Ukiah, and with the County of Mendocino on the access issues. There's no way in hell I will support this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor. Other comments? Okay, hearing and seeing no comments, let's go to a button vote. Haven't done that this year yet. So call for the vote on the motion before us.
Motion carries to Supervisor Delbar dissenting.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving to item 7C, discussion possible action. I'm sorry?
I was
Mr.
just
Sweeney.
wondering if you were going to do the other MSWA-related item at this time.
Yes.
Okay.
Item 7C, discussion possible action including endorsement of a ban proposed by MSWA on plastic carryout bags in Mendocino County and direct county staff to draft an ordinance affecting said ban, county-wide basis. 2 DOT staff and Mr. Sweeney.
This is on. Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Sweeney to deliver to you. I will say, though, that the other morning, Mike and I were in line together at Safeway, and I was very embarrassed that I didn't have a reusable grocery bag. And since then, the Deputy Director for Solid Waste has furnished me with such a reusable bag. So I was caught, Mike.
Well, I did have my reusable bag, and I was personally outraged that my cost of groceries was marginally increased by Mr. Dashiell and all the others of us who are routinely utilize free bags given away, free throwaway bags given away by the grocery industry, the cost of which is substantial, and I think we should recognize that